Hi, Jeremy.
Hi, Shirlyn. Great to
Wow.
be here and hang out with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for this book, The Late
Oh,
Night Thoughts of a Jazz Musician. I think I've been looking forward to this book for a while, actually.
oh,
And
cool.
the other day during the call, when you said that you would give me a copy, I'm like, oh my God, thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy.
And I followed some of your stories in this
Yeah.
book on Facebook. We are
Yeah.
Facebook friends, and I love your stories.
Thank
I
you.
I do. So thanks for coming to chat with me today.
My pleasure.
As you can tell, we just wanted to. I just wanted to sit you down because you've been such a busy man, even through these really strange times where we're not playing a lot of live music,
Yeah.
but you're still planning heaps of things. And this is the only day that I can catch you. And thank you.
Yeah. No, great to be here. Yeah.
And well, you know, I mean, we could go on and talk about how Singapore likes to call you the king of swing. And, you know, you've been a professional musician since I was born.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for reminding me about my age.
You're reminding me about my age, okay?
Yeah.
And it's pretty amazing that, you know, after all these years, what you're doing is still growing stronger and stronger. And just before I came here, actually, I went on to Spotify and I played your EP. And I really enjoyed that music. I just had to play it really softly at work.
Oh,
But it was so nice. It took me through a good time at work before coming here.
cool.
Yeah. So tell me, what's going on with you these days?
Well, I don't know where to start. Just try to make the best of the situation that's been we've all been going through. It's a very difficult time for all musicians all over the world, and for the time being, it's not really getting better, right? I mean, symphony orchestras are closing down, and musicians are still without gigs. I know some musicians who are doing other work. I mean, there's nothing wrong like putting in an honest day's work, no matter what it is. But people doing work as like COVID swabbers and similar work to that. Of course, this ethic is already there in New York, right? Because very often, someone who's a musician or a dancer or actor, in between plays, they will go work, wait on tables and all that, and to them, they don't bat an eyelid about it, right? So, the only time I actually did any kind of waitressing, I was going to say waiters work was in my teens. After O level for a minute, but I think it's quite difficult. I mean, for me, I've been a little lucky because I've had quite a lot of things to do, and I immediately felt the need to go online and live stream to people. So I was kind of like one of the first few out of the gate and live streaming, trying to comfort people. Also, I used to have a piano bar show that I did every Thursday, and I really have a not so generous reason for doing it. And because if I didn't have my piano bar show to do every Thursday, I won't practice the rest of the week, you see. So it forced me to practice so that I wouldn't sound bad on that Thursday nights, you see. That was one thing I used to do. And of course, running the Jazz Association Singapore has really been keeping, it's meant to take up 50% of my bandwidth, but really the last year during COVID, I've really been putting 70% of my time, opportunity to do more for the Jazz Association, see it grow, continue our work to build audiences and lift the level of jazz, play our part to lift the level of jazz in Singapore, work with children with difficulties in inclusivity, like kids with autism and Down syndrome, and still continue our cultural diplomacy work. We used to go and bring Singapore jazz to the US or China or the UK or whatever, but now we have to do it online with very good results. I mean, our shows have had 6 figures of views, so 100,000 overviews for the Jazz Association show, and my birthday show had 220 over thousand views. So we're reaching out to the rest of the world. And then, of course, the Jazz Association also started the Jazz Crisis Fund, which actually has helped a number of musicians with short-term financial aid while they go through difficulties. People who haven't been able to find a way to earn money live streaming or do more online teaching or whatever. So So that's been quite useful to the community. So that's really the things. And our youth development continues. We still put out 2 scholarships at least a year. And we'll be announcing our new scholarship with recipients in the next week or so. So we've put 5 young musicians through tertiary, either bachelor or master's programs already. So and then this work continues. It's all done. I may be instrumental with my team to make it happen, but it's only done because of very generous donors. I mean, there's no way. I'm a jazz musician. There's no such thing as a rich jazz musician. You know how you become a millionaire as a jazz musician?
No.
You start off as a billionaire.
Okay.
So we're happy to help and happy that we've been able to do this with really very generous people, to make this happen. So that's half of what I do. I'm still working on my own music, composing. Recently we went back to the stage, performed twice already, once at Capitol Theatre and once at the Esplanade with my new chamber jazz series. And that was wonderful because it was my icebreaker concert to launch the symphonic jazz movement. There are a lot of people already doing it. Like, Chokorong writes amazing symphonic jazz work. But I thought that I can come in as sort of the elder member of the community to bring all the resources together, all the talent together, and try and find a, loose sort of organizational way. I just, although it's a opposing statement, loose organizing way, bring people together and make this movement grow over in the hopefully next 5 years.
Yeah, I think because of your years of experience and also all the friends that you've made all through the years, I noticed that every time Jeremy comes out and says he will raise money for something, there's always a lot of money being raised, and it's always for a good cause. And also your belief that there is a lot of work to be done to foster the care for the young musicians that are up and coming as well. So maybe we can talk a little bit about that, what you're doing for the younger musicians, how you're connecting them with more experienced players as well in some of your shows.
Well, the thing that we've been doing, we're going to be launching the 4th Lion City Youth Jazz Festival on Monday, which is really a mentorship festival where the young musicians train and rehearse with legendary and very high-level musicians across a week, and then perform a finale concert together. The first one we did was with Benny Golson, who is one of the last really great jazz musicians who've been around playing for more than 60 years already, and then we've had 6-time Grammy winner Randy Brecker come along on another year, and other mentors as well on different instruments, and they will rehearse and then they will train with them and then workshop them, and then we do this concert. So this year we are having to do it differently because of the pandemic. So the mentors are not coming physically, so a lot of the work is being done via Zoom. And for example, the parts are pre-recorded and the videos are pre-recorded. So when you go to the concert next 24th, next Friday, you will see the youth musicians and a few local mentors on stage, but then the international mentors will be on an LED wall on the back of the stage playing, pre-recorded their work with us. So not the best way to do it, of course, but we're celebrating the music of Count Basie and Duke Ellington, which is really the foundation of swing music comes from these 2 great musicians, right? So definitely going to be like lots of fun, and hopefully next year we will do it again. So this is one of the mentorship things we do for the youth. The other one is a scholarship program. So the 2 underpin our main thrust of our work with youth musicians.
Wow, I think even though there's it's like a half a live element with the other mentors being on the screen and pre-recorded, even though that is happening, I really think that you guys can still push out all the emotions that makes the jazz music come together.
Yeah.
Because I think it's a live show, and also we can get tickets to watch.
Yes, of
live
course,
stream
yeah.
as
So
well,
the
right?
all the tickets for both, there are 3 workshops.
Mm-hmm.
The one of the mentors is actually the current leader of the Count Basie Orchestra, and then Alex Piagin, the great trumpeter, is giving one workshop, and then the singer with the Count Basie Orchestra, and she sang with Count Basie when he was still alive. And
Wow. Okay.
so she's also giving a very interesting workshop called "The Difference of Singing with a Big Band and a Small Ensemble," and that's really she's Grammy nominated singer. She actually was nominated for a Grammy with the Count Basie Orchestra, and she actually sang on the Grammy-winning album with Josh Benson when they did the cover of "How Can You Keep the Music Playing." You remember that Patty Austin and James Ingram sang the first version. Then the second version they did very well, and the album won a Grammy was with Josh Benson and Carmen Bradford. So she's the other mentor. So there'll be it's actually workshops. So students will actually attend on Zoom, and so we are still continuing with our workshops, even though we can't have the mentors in the room.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be sure to try and get a ticket to
Sure.
watch it on
Yeah.
the live stream. I think
Yeah.
this will be quite a performance. It's on the 24th of April,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, that's the finale concert. But then during the week, there are workshops. Yeah.
And who can attend these workshops?
Anybody goes
Oh.
online to Systic to buy. I think the tickets are like $15 if I'm not mistaken. They're trying to keep the workshop tickets as cheap as possible. And then, of course, the concert tickets. But the actual concert will actually be live streamed this time for free, because it's also our international. UNESCO does the annual International Jazz Day show.
Mm-hmm.
So this will be the Jazz Association's contribution to International Jazz Day. The finale concert will be the contribution to International Jazz Day, which will be watched all over the world. Last year when we did IJD, it was more than 110,000 views around the world.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I think I should attend that workshop.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So one of the things that struck me with the multiple things that you do is just how you will always look at everything with a keen eye and a big sense of humor.
Yeah.
Even if it's something that frustrates you, you would always be able to word it in such a way that it makes us think about the problem and go, oh, maybe we can tackle it differently and not let it spiral downwards.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about how you look at life through the years.
Well, although I'm still very active, it's been I'm not old, just turned 60, but then I've been a professional musician for 45 years. That's a long time for anyone to be in the workforce.
Now you know how old I am.
Yeah. So basically it's you go through all kinds of frustrations and rejections. It's like all of us musicians experience years and years of rejection. Sometimes at first even in our homes, some musicians may not experience total support. It could be the parents, could be, are you crazy? You want to be a musician? If you're a musician, I don't talk to you anymore. I mean, a lot of us went through stuff like that, I think. And so yeah, it's been many, many years of that, and also learning how to relate with people and so on and so forth. So I would say that it's the years lah. I mean, but at the same time, for me, it took so long to kind of come into my own in terms of where I'm happy with myself as comfortable in my own skin. But I see a lot of younger musicians doing it a lot faster, mainly because the education is much, a lot better than it was when I was a kid. And the availability of information that people can synthesize and form their own ideas and opinions and so on and so forth is also happens at a much earlier age now. So I've seen musicians, for example, who maybe I attained that level of maturity at 35, and I seen them achieving it at 23 or 25 these days. You want to slap them. No, just kidding. But you know what I mean? So generally, and that's why I really enjoy hanging out with musicians of all ages. My range of people who I consider my friends goes from late teens all the way to people in their 80s and all points in between. So I feel comfortable with people of all ages, and I do that because sometimes you hear a young person say some 3 nonsense things, and then 4 and 5 is like gold, that you never have heard from anybody else. So you got to hang around for those moments, those golden moments.
It's true. I mean, like you said, the availability of resources, things that they can learn so much faster now with the internet, and being and also, I think the youth of today are more open to seeking help from anyone that they can get help from.
It's true.
We grew up being smart Alex in our way, and then now you watch the younger people being smart Alex and like, wow, I never thought about that. So I think it's important.
You can learn a lot from speaking to young people, and I think that this is the key towards society in the modern age really moving forward. That there's a respect for both young people, and young people also, the ones who are smart enough to not close themselves out to people who are middle-aged and older, realizing that they do not know everything. And this is how that mutual respect and collaboration can happen, which can really help, everyone actually. Of course, musicians and artists as well.
Yeah, it's, I mean, from my personal experience, when I started performing, I was in my late teens, and yes, I hung out with musicians who were way older, because those were the people with more experience. And then as the years went along, the ages of the band members started getting younger and younger, and it's quite interesting. My youngest guitarist now is 24. Cool. And Desiree, who plays percussion for us, she's in Boston right now. She's 21.
Wow.
Yeah. So we got all these kids.
Yeah. So it's great. I mean, Singapore is slowly moving away, irregardless of what the laws may be. I think Singaporeans are naturally moving away from ageism, which is very important, because I think, any kind of, marginalization of any group of people based on anything, whether it's ageism or gender or life choices or whatever, is just, as society goes on, I think we have less and less place for that.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a good start, where musicians of all ages, when they hang out together, and we can learn from each other as well. You don't see that in a lot of other types of jobs, I would say.
Some I've known since like when they were born, because I knew their parents, right? And then they reach a certain age, and then they say, yes, Uncle Jeremy. I said, please don't call me Uncle Jeremy. Okay, Uncle Jeremy. They said no. They said I'm Uncle Jeremy for life to them. For those ones, I mean, lucky the ones I don't know well or never knew their parents, they'll be able to sort of convert to just calling me Jeremy.
Yeah, it's okay. I also have young musicians right now who used to call me Auntie Shirlyn, so it's okay. I said I give them permission, like, you don't have to call me Auntie anymore. It's okay. Just call me Shirlyn.
That's great.
Like for example, Aaron James Lee. Like, I used to work with his parents. We were in the same band, and he was just a little child. And then look at him now. I'm like, hi.
And what a great musician he is.
And amazing. So let's talk a little bit about your late night thoughts. Like how did this book come about, and what is the take home for someone who just grabbed this book from the store?
Well, I used to write actually in the 80s already. I was the Far East correspondent for Keyboard magazine for a while, and then later on in the 90s, Car and Driver magazine asked me to write CD reviews for them. But I found I was very unproductive. Like, it took me 2 weeks to write an article. Then it's like, this is a lot of time to spend for a little bit of money, and I think I should just concentrate on my music. So I left it. Then about 12 years ago, I actually, when notes started appearing on phones, and also Facebook actually is very instrumental in getting me to write again. I found it, especially when Facebook went from the short post to allow you to write as long as you want. I found that I started to be able to write a whole essay, at least the first draft, within 10-15 minutes. 20 minutes tops. And so not 2 weeks, but 20 minutes. So then I started just being able to have a steady stream of consciousness writing. And then, so then when people kept saying, Jeremy, you should write a book. Your posts are so good. You should just put it in a book, blah, blah, blah. So, and they've been saying this for years. I mean, since like 6-7 years ago. So one day I said, why not? Why don't I write a book? So I went and copied and pasted all my Facebook posts. And then also I had a notebook. I still have a notebook that's just filled with pages of story ideas or essay ideas. And so half of the book is from my Facebook posts, maybe extrapolated or properly written, because sometimes Facebook you can just like go too fast and all kinds of spelling mistakes and all that. And then the other half are fresh essays from my notes that I take. So it's a random thoughts book. So I don't know if you've ever heard of a book called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, It's All Small Stuff, which is by the author called, his name is Richard Carlson. And I loved the book because, it would be like totally random thoughts, like from one to another. So in my book, you'll find that one story could be like a funny tour story. Another one could be a life philosophy. Another one could be some poignant story that I heard on the road, or a life philosophy, or my hack take on some economic policy, and so on and so forth. I try to veer away from politics in the book, but I would never. People often ask me, "Hey, why do you go into politics?" The reason is because I hate politics. Although I love public policy, there's a big difference.
There's a big difference, yes.
Yeah. So sometimes I will comment on public policy, but not so much in the book. If I do comment on public policy or economic situations, it's really very general, global. Like the rich-poor divide and that kind of thing. I do address, but I also tell stories about meeting my heroes, like spending time with Tony Bennett and Toots Tillemans and Ernie Watts and musicians I've worked with. So it's kind of it's there are only 2 essays that are connected. That almost like it's a part 1, part 2 of a story. The rest are completely disparate. So you can pick up the book and start any essay, and so one takeaway is that you just can just start any essay anywhere in the book, and it doesn't. You can read the book totally chaotically without any sequence. Also, that's also possible. And it doesn't take up that much time, and so people who don't like reading, like for long hours, you just pick up 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and you've read 2-3 chapters, and then you put it away and you come back to it. So people tend to like that kind of style of writing. Yeah, so that's really it. I won't spoil it for people.
It's nice though to be able to have a book that you could just like open it up and flip to a page and start reading from there.
Yeah,
I'd say it's like a book of surprises.
Yeah,
when you go to a live gig and you're waiting for the songs that the musician's gonna play for you. That's how I'm gonna connect that to how you're doing. But yes, so all those years of all your Facebook posts, if you notice, I read a lot of them.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I read a lot of them, and I really, really, really love all the stories that you tell. From the stories of your gigs, from gigging with your heroes, to stories of your shows in Singapore, to like really, really funny stories. And I just it brings joy to my day when I launch my Facebook. And then I'm like, oh, Jeremy posted something.
Yeah, some people look at my Facebook almost like a daily newsletter.
And I was gonna say that.
And I've even had strangers who have no connection with me as a musician. Like RK, I'll sit down, I'll be eating, and then this old guy will just come up to me and say, "Hey, I read your post yesterday and about this, and I agree with you, blah blah blah." And then he's going on talking about my post, and I'm like, wow, it's like just that I'm connecting with so many people. So much so, like I soon have to go for eye surgery, which means that I'm gonna have to stay away from my phone for at least a week after I do each eye.
You can dictate your post.
So then I'm going to have to apologize if I disappear for a few days.
Everyone's just gonna be waiting and waiting. They'll be sending you nice messages. Get well soon, Jeremy. But yeah, like for someone who's so busy, who's handling so many things besides music and taking care of young musicians and also organizing a lot of other stuff, you are always in the know. Like if you went through your Facebook posts, you're very, very, very in tune with current happenings, and you always have a little bit of your opinion as well, and it fosters a lot of healthy discussion within the comments. So I think it's nice because that way that's what social media is about.
Yes, it is.
Right? So it's not just like, this is my opinion, shut it down. But people are able to discuss and then in turn learn something from someone they've never met.
But that's nice, and also I'm very glad. I mean, touch wood, that my discussions have very, very rarely become vitriolic from the comments, because I guess my tone of not only the post but the way I answer even a slightly caustic remark is like, I'm happy to agree to disagree, and I'm also have my opinion and you have yours as well, and then just as long as I'm not confrontational with my answers, even if some of them do pique me like a little bit, like, where's this person coming from, I mean, I always will. The main thing is not to do it like right away if I'm upset by a particular comment, just to breathe and step away and then cool down and then be able to come back and answer without tekanning the fella,
Yeah, because sometimes people are just free on the keyboard, and then they just go
but
on
sometimes if they really overstep, sometimes I think in the 12 years I'm using Facebook, I kicked off 5 people.
Only 5?
Yeah, and one was like super ultra right wing religious, and I couldn't take it really, so I got to kick the fella off. Another one was like really nice in real life but horrifying on Facebook. Have you ever met those people? And I actually went up to the person and said, I wouldn't mention his name. Let's say his name is John. I said, hey John, I really like you, but you're horrible on Facebook, so I'm kicking you off. I don't want to be your friend on Facebook. I want to be your friend in real life only.
The online persona and the real life
it's really
persona.
weird, right?
Yeah. I know people like that. They're like super brave online. In person they're like, so like, oh, how come? But that's what social media does. Also, there's the good and there's the bad. So speaking of social media, this is one thing that over the years I've seen your posts, and it tickles me because you've had at least, correct me if I'm wrong, at least three, so tell me how many, at least 3 different people impersonate you so far that I've counted.
Oh, this year alone there have been around 20.
20? I've just been looking at one platform.
So, but they mostly have been shifting to Instagram. My imposters have started to shift over to Instagram. So I've been asking Facebook for a long time to give me a verified account, because then there's a high level of security and so on. So finally they did. Most people, they will only allow either your fan page or your friend page. And I decided to put it on my fan page because my new album that's coming out in the US is actually going to be going through a very aggressive PR campaign starting April 23rd, the Live and No Black Tie album. And so then I'm going to have all the strangers looking for me, and rather than help them come and join, send me friend requests, I rather they just go and like my fan page.
Yeah, the fan page.
And I tell the publicists that who are working the project for me to, when they tag me, to tag my fan page, not my friend page. In fact, after a while I will actually encourage everyone to just go over, and I'll keep my friend page really just for people I know.
Keep me.
People if I've known, I've had some interaction with you, then I don't mind you're also on my friend page, because and then I'll start to talk more about my music work and stuff like that, even helpful things like whether it's a workshop or whatever it is. I'll keep it on my fan page, and then my friend page will be a little bit more sharing some personal stuff and stuff like that. Some artists, once they have a really active fan page, will just shut down their friend page only to their friends, existing friends. But then I can't do that because I have 4,000 plus existing friends, but nearly 5,000 followers. So I don't want to suddenly go and where suddenly he's not on Facebook.
Who's where? Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
But so you have a Facebook page, you have an Instagram, and also your YouTube channel. I've subscribed to all of them.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, I was not interested in Twitter so much, but our friend who used to run the US made me interested to start a a Twitter page as well.
You have to.
Yeah,
If you're
yeah.
going to be active in the
Yeah,
US, you have to
I'm
have a
not
Twitter
gonna
account.
do TikTok. I don't think. I
You
didn't really go
sure?
for the other one. What's the other one that was around for a while? Also, one of those videos that disappear after a while.
The Snapchat, yeah.
So I never, and I'm not interested in Snapchat. I'm not interested in TikTok except to watch because it's very fun
It
to
is
watch.
fun. Yeah, it is fun.
Yeah,
You
I'm not a
could consider it, when you have a little bit more time. Maybe, something
I'm
something
too
fun on the
long-winded to be
side
on
that you-
TikTok actually.
Why? Okay. But you can do a full video and then cut up into little
Yeah,
parts,
yeah.
so little digestible parts on
Yeah,
TikTok.
yeah.
Then you're reaching out to
Yeah, quite a
younger-
different audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like, you've got all your social media accounts down pat. People are. Do you have a fan page on Instagram as well? I just saw one that was like Jeremy Monteiro, but they spelled your name wrongly.
So yeah, that's one of my imposters.
So that's an imposter, not a fan page.
Yeah. So I mean, I think I don't need to have more than one Instagram. I tried going to. I think they tried to do a public or like a business page. I tried it for a while. I didn't like it. I went back to having a personal page. Yeah.
Because it's just a lot easier to manage it as well.
Yeah, and I think Instagram is nice for a different group of people, and also you don't have to be so verbose unless I'm copying a post from my Facebook over. But mostly it's just sharing photos, which is kind of a nice thing about Instagram.
Yeah, it is the nice thing. Sharing photos, sharing the clips as
Yeah.
well. You could be sharing the same photos and clips, but different writing from Facebook.
Yeah,
It is a different audience after all.
that's right.
Yeah. I think like if you talk, all the stuff that you talked about at your shows, you could split it up as well, and and have multiple posts going on and on.
Yeah.
It's like everything is endless
Yeah.
possibilities.
I mean, the other people, other accounts that I've started, Jazz Association, but I've handed that completely over to the team so that I almost never post on it, maybe 8-10 times a year. But then I also started the Singapore Jazz Lovers, which is really more to talk about like who's playing where or and stuff like that. Nowadays, more like who's doing what live stream because so there are no gigs, right? Yeah, so that's so I think social media is very important, and I think this is actually missing. This is one thing that's missing among the young musicians in Singapore, especially the jazz musicians are very, very anti social media.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, and so it's quite difficult for them. And then some of them will argue with me and say that West Montgomery never did any self promotion. Then I'll say, yeah, but West Montgomery had a 6-man PR team in his management office, in his agent's office, and his record company. You have or not? Then who's going to do it? And we're not. So he did do it. It's just that he was in a position financially as well as to make sure that he had a team doing it. And nowadays, there's no team. People, for example, in a lot of companies, even senior executives don't have a secretary. They do it themselves. So if you don't do the work, means the work doesn't get done. If the work doesn't get done, then don't ask why is it no one comes to my gig and no one buys my albums.
Yeah, that's true. I think a lot of people just see us on stage and they don't see what goes on behind and who are the people, or maybe it's us.
Yeah.
Getting everything ready and getting everything up.
That's true.
For that hour or two of music.
Yeah.
And then that's all they see. But that's all we want them to see as well.
Correct.
Because music is really like a full-time job.
It is.
And now that there are less gigs to play, I mean, like we have a lot of friends that have pivoted into a lot of things, a lot of different types of jobs, and everyone's raring to go. Everyone is dying to play a show, And I think even the crowd as well, people want to have that live music experience.
Yeah.
Because I just did a concert and I had a few people text me and they're like, we started crying after the first song. I was like, is it the song? You like the song, the lyrics? No, it's just that we haven't sat down to watch live music for so long.
Yeah, you told me about the show, so it's finished already.
It was on Saturday.
Oh, good.
So it was quite crazy, but Tamago called me.
Yeah.
Actually, he was on the phone with Benny, and Benny said, "Hey, Shirlyn, Tama wants to talk to you." I was like, okay. And he's like, "Shirlyn, I tell you, it's been more than a year. We all never play show, right? Later you don't get emotional, okay?" And I was like, "Huh?" "Yeah, you will, you know." And I was like, "Is it?" "Yeah, we 1 year never play to a crowd, everything." And I was like, "Yeah, okay." And then when I went out, and I was like, "Oh,"
Yeah.
you know, you feel it
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
it's been so long. We
Yeah,
we
yeah.
did a couple live streams.
Yeah.
It's really nice also to do a live
Yeah,
stream
yeah.
because it's not something we're very used to.
Yeah.
But being on a stage live
Yeah.
and playing to human beings, to
Yeah.
bodies, warm
Yeah,
bodies,
yeah.
it was just like,
Yeah, yeah.
and as soon as the lights hit me, I was like, "Tama, you're right."
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I trust you.
Yeah.
So it was quite an emotional experience for
Yeah.
me as well, and I think for everybody.
Yeah.
And
Tama
I
is
think,
so wonderful.
and I think at the end of the day, we're all just really hoping that the crowd can get a little bigger with
Yeah.
the right social distancing.
Yeah.
And we can go right ahead and play really good music to
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah.
So the live streams that you've been doing, I liked it when, was it in a coffee shop that you did it with a?
Oh,
with-
that was actually before pre-COVID.
Yes, it
Actually,
was
I had a
pre-COVID.
gig. I had a gig in a coffee shop,
Yes.
a seafood restaurant actually, that was in a coffee shop, and it's amazing because the live was like 11,000 views. You know,
Yeah.
and of course then after that people watched the replay, but it was quite amazing to see that, you know. So, you know, I didn't have a chance to really explore doing it again, but hopefully after COVID we can looking at this kind of novel ideas, whether coffee shops or whatever, to have a gig.
Yeah,
you know?
like instead of a bar
Yeah.
or instead of a concert hall. I really like the coffee shop idea
yeah.
because it's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
And of all people, Jeremy thought about it, you know. And then recently, your live streams from your kitchen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should do a couple more of those actually.
Yeah, the kitchen ones. I think when, you know, we bring the show from home, it's a very, very different connection
Yes. Yeah.
with people as well. Not
Yeah.
just our friends, and also your fans as well.
Yeah.
And I've learned that over the years, no matter how big or how small the stage is, we still have to play 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the thing about that I think is really important is to connect with people who don't know you. So like the thing about having a friend page, and I keep trying to convince the younger musicians to really take up this fan page seriously, because it takes time to build. But the good thing about it is that you will start to attract people who, you know, there's no point to keep on preaching to the converted, right? So basically on your friend page is everyone who follows you, your actual friends, or people come and see you in the club and so on, or whatever, your concerts or whatever. But who you need to do is to build your customer base, so to speak.
Yes.
And I think the way to do it is using the fan page. And then occasionally, if it's something interesting, actually put some advertising money on it, you know, $10, $20. Suddenly you get another few hundred strangers who join you. And then you keep building your following of strangers, which is very important.
So we were talking about scammers, online scammers.
Yeah.
And you said that you actually have very, very good tips for not falling for the scammers, or like for dealing with them.
Yeah.
Can you share that with me?
Well, one is that recently there's a one that's been going around and taking different forms and calling themselves different things and saying that you have been reported for impersonating someone. If you want to prove that this is really your account, please click on this link and log in, and you know. And it's a phishing scam, and I have no friends who have lost their accounts because they clicked, and you know. And then, you know, running the Jazz Association, which is a charity and an IPC, is a bit dangerous to have impersonators or scammers, because, you know, they will impersonate you, then they will pretend to be friendly, then they'll get fresh with some of my lady friends and fans, and after a while, you know, strike out a conversation, and next thing you know, they ask for money. You know, and that's really the difficult part for me. So I'm always lucky that my friends, especially lady friends, will say, "Hey, this is not you, right? You're not so cheeky." You so I say, yeah, no, sorry. Then I even get a situation where this particular person was very cheeky, of really kind of semi-suggestive to my cousin's wife,
Oh dear.
Yeah, so my cousin say, hey, Jeremy, this is not you, I know, but you better go and shut this one down,
Oh my.
And so it happens so regularly, it's very annoying. So I'm glad, touch wood, Facebook, it's down a lot now, and I think I have had about 20 in total from all the platforms, but there seems to be a big dip after I got my verified Facebook account. Yeah.
So the only one you're dealing with is Instagram.
Yeah, and also another funny thing I get is because my fan page is starting to be more and more widely watched, and people, I think it's almost 8,000 people on my fan page now compared to my friend page, right? And it's not a lot, by any means. But for a jazz musician, it's not bad. But I also get a lot of funny messages from women who I know are probably not women.
Yeah. It's very strange
Yeah.
accounts. Yeah, I've been getting an uptick of young men from China in particular. They text me in Mandarin. Pretty sure it's not them. Like, don't click.
Yeah.
But it's also funny to look at, Yeah. As long as I, don't have to. I was like, maybe I should just troll them. Then my friend said, no, wait, you click, then you lose your account. Yeah, okay. Let's not do that.
Yeah. So I've had, recently a friend of mine, the 6-time Grammy Award winning trumpeter Randy Brecker, somehow got accused of he has so many friends, of course friends are not more than 5,000, but so many followers, he has 20 over 1,000 followers, on his friend page, and don't know what he did. Facebook accused him of impersonating Randy Brecker. Yeah. So say, I am Randy Brecker. No, can you prove it?
Oh dear.
So he had to send driver's license and all. It took him nearly 3 weeks to get his account back.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think the most important thing is to keep changing your password at least once every 3 months. I know we're all very lazy. We got a password that works. We just don't. Just every 3 months, just a habit. Just change your password. Then note it on your notes on your phone so you don't forget what it is.
Yeah.
Because
I think I've been changing my password so often that I actually don't know my password right now.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be in trouble soon. Yeah, but that's a very good tip. Change your password regularly, and don't forget your new password.
Yeah.
Yes. Because everything is done online, not just your social media. Everything, there's an app for everything now. So there's a password.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So do you think the technology is helping us, or do you think the technology, like you said, the younger kids, they're like, oh, I don't want a social media account. And
or they have one and they never use it. Yeah. So the thing is that I think you have to balance. I mean, of course, there's a whole self-esteem problem also associated with misuse of social media. Well, some people actually makes them feel very inadequate and shames them, or they feel very ashamed when they see that they don't get as many likes. To them the likes is the little tiny micro doses of dopamine, right? So and I guess to some point all of us can fall prey to that for a minute, and for me also, you just gotta go, you put a post out, you don't have to keep checking whether people, although I sometimes put a post out and I realize that no one is interested in that.
For example?
No, I've had posts where I put out and then, people don't really want to hear that from you. I can't really remember specifically, So, but, you have to really balance it to make sure that it's not. Of course, we can't avoid the fact that we like a well-received post, and we, in the same way, we like a well-received song. Because we're artists, right? So we are always going to be narcissistic throughout our life. Doesn't matter how actualized we think we are.
Yeah, whatever it is we're putting out, we're always looking for a response. Yeah.
So, but I think that just learn to use it as a really tool, and don't let it control you. It can really control you, but it doesn't have to be all or nothing behavior. Some people basically, just throw it all away. For no reason.
Yeah, I think like what you said, like not being attached to the likes and the follows for the post. I mean, like of all the posts that I put up, I've noticed certain posts, like you said, certain posts get a lot of likes and certain posts don't really get a lot of likes.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, oh, maybe I should post less of those and more of
Yeah.
these. And then one day I just went, no, I will post whatever I feel like, because that's exactly how I feel like at that moment.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's how I want to communicate with people at that moment as well. The
correct.
moment you start to let the crowd control what you play, or the crowd control what you post, then are we actually being ourselves?
Yeah, that's true.
As
that's
an
very
artist.
true. Yeah.
But it is true that the online persona and in real life there always will be a little bit of a distinction. So like even as a performer, someone being on stage and at home, I'm a very different person when I'm not on stage.
Right.
So I've been a very different person for about a year. And no, not that it's a different person, but I've just not had the platform to be able to be that
persona that goes on stage to sing and play, which is different from the person, right? I think, like for me, one of the things I had to teach myself is, after a while I realized I had a persona emerged, partly created by me, but also created by the press, by my fans, who have this kind of persona which is got some of me in it, but a lot of it is not me really. And then to realize that, and then that this can help you to sell albums or sell tickets. Then you use the persona, but you have to be very, very cognizant of the fact that where does persona end and where do you start. And that's kind of an important thing that I've learned to do for myself.
So this is also good advice for up and coming young musicians as well, how they want to develop their on-stage persona and how it connects to them as a real person as well, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And what else can you advise the young musician?
Yeah, well, the thing is, basically to stay really true to what is it you want to do. But of course, when you're young, it's important to listen to trusted critics like your teachers in college or whatever it is. As you grow older and you've left college, you've had 2 or 3 years in the field, to not be too affected, to take it a very objectively, but not allow it to spoil your mood for the day or whatever it is. I mean, I've had so many reviews over the years, but I've had a few bad reviews as well, and so the first few bad reviews can really crush you, and to learn to. And then I met Ernie Watts, Grammy Award winning guy, and I said, hey, there's a review of our concert, and then he said, is it good? I said, yeah. I said, you want to read it? He said, no, I never read my own reviews. I mean, for him, it's lucky he's got a manager and a publicist on a full-time basis, right? I mean, so it's like he doesn't really care.
Just play.
Just play. But I think the main thing is for musicians to. There's a chapter in my book which says that you don't have to be a very high-level musician if you don't want. You don't have to necessarily be a high-level musician and a professional musician. That means for some of us, it's not. We link it together so much that there are people, for example, like Dr. Shirlyn Tan, right? I mean, he's a great musician, writes the music and works on the music for National Day most of the years, but he has a private practice as a doctor as well. And so he is able to maintain a very high level, and he doesn't necessarily, and a few other people as well, as another doctor friend of mine who was in school with me, Dr. Patrick Goh, is a great orthopedic doctor. He writes, he composes. We've even written songs that Tracy Huang has recorded, but he doesn't really, he can work at a very high level, but he doesn't depend on it for a living. So in this day and age, actually, you'll find that now especially, there's so few gigs, symphony orchestras closing down, and I always tell there's a difference between your work and your job. So your work, your job is what you do to earn a living, to pay your bills, and your work is your life mission. So to illustrate that, some people they have a job and it's to drive a taxi Monday to Friday, and then their work is to help with the Salvation Army on a Saturday and Sunday, and they really love that Saturday and Sunday because they're helping people and so on and so forth, right? And they don't earn any money from it. So we musicians also, like the New York artists I told you about who maybe for 3 months there's no part in a play or Broadway or off-Broadway play. They wait tables and then they get a part, and then for 6 months they're on a Broadway stage or whatever. So, so their work is waiting tables and the job is waiting tables and their work is acting, right? So for me, I used to joke that people ask me how I made my most money, and I used to say that I make my most money by charging stupid amounts of money to people who want to put my name on the invitation card for an event, to then be ignored for 2 hours. Right? And it's okay because that's my job, and I do it well. I play well for the audience. Or they come, oh, Jeremy's playing, then they come and they don't listen 2 hours. They're drinking, they're eating, talking at the top of their voice. That's cool. So I get that really good payday, and then I go and play at a little jazz club for 150 people who are listening to me at pin drop silence. So that's the way to balance your life. I think as a musician is very important. And my last piece of advice, because I don't think, I made so many mistakes, so I can only give advice because number one, I've made a mistake. Number two, I've corrected the mistake. And number three, when I say this is what I think you should do, I do live what I say. And that is to try your best not to overspend and not to be attracted to material things, because especially as a jazz musician or classical musician, if you love luxury cars and luxury watches, don't be a musician, because you will never be able to make a living and to be able to support those kind of habits, and to just the music is so wonderful. It's its own joy actually. And if you really do love it, you don't need all these other trappings. And so, surely you may have to go and buy nice clothing to wear on stage, but that's really work stuff, But you don't have to buy the every Gucci thing that comes out, or every Maserati model. I mean, there are musicians who actually really go after those kind of things. And early in my career, I was a bit like that. I used to have like 35 watches. I used to love to buy expensive cars. So I have had my Mercedes and my BMWs and all that. But now I'm driving around in a 14-year-old little Hyundai Getz, and I'm so happy because I have no commitments. And so the least number of commitments. And don't borrow money. If you need to buy something nice, if it's a nice piece of gear you need, it's $2,000. Save up for it, buy it, finish, it's over. Some people they want to buy this, that gear, and then $100,000 of gear, then you take a bank loan, and then suddenly it's $4,000 of bank loans. And just don't have loans as possible. Maybe your home, you can have to have a loan. If you really need a car, get a modest car. Always buy a car that's 3 or 4 steps below what you think you can afford, because COVID or something hits and suddenly that 2,000 installment that was easy for 2 years, suddenly it's the thing that's you just breaks your back. So just always be as frugal. You can enjoy wonderful food in Singapore without having to spend a whole lot of money. But the main thing is not loans. I mean, main thing is that expensive things we can treat ourselves to every once in a while, but it mustn't have a tailback of paying installments.
Yeah, I think COVID has really taught a lot of musicians how to be better at their finances.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, I was very lucky that, of course, when I first started, and I was also spending the money a little bit like water, but just a few years after I got my home, and then before COVID, I was already starting to save up and spend less. Like you say, you don't have to get everything that's new.
Yes.
You don't have to get all the expensive stuff, and you don't have to take a Grab everywhere or taxi everywhere.
Yeah.
You can leave the house earlier and take public transport. It's okay, just sweat only. But I mean, when COVID hit, for me personally, I felt so lucky that I had got to that point where I can go on without worrying about not having a job overnight.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's true for a lot of musicians.
Yeah.
And COVID has really hit a lot of musicians' families quite hard. And but I think in the past year, I've seen a lot of people pivot into other things besides the live streaming here and there.
Yeah.
You know, they've started their own businesses
Yeah.
and they've taken on jobs. I've taken on a job as well. So yeah. But I think you know, we'll never stop wanting to play music.
Yeah.
And I think as soon as the stages start to open, everyone's just going to be so excited.
Yeah, but you know, I'm such a ever optimist, but I'm not entirely optimistic of how fast that it's going to happen on a global basis. And also touring for me, I mean, traveling around the world to play, you know, while we are doing so well in Singapore and almost no community cases all the time, the places that I go and play, you know, in Europe and so on, it's still not doing well. Or even Malaysia, right? And we don't know how long it's going to be. I mean, already we've been given hints by the leadership here in Singapore that it might be as long as 3 to 5 years. So I'm just telling myself, and it's very unlike me because I'm very positive. I'm always, you know, sometimes I'm too much of an optimist. So I still think I'm optimist, but I become a really cautious optimist. And I think that, you know, while it will open up slowly, and we have to just be very careful and not think that it's in the next few months. For example, I've just completely told myself I'm not traveling this year. You're not going, even though people say, hey, you will come and play at this festival. Just tell yourself it's not going to happen, you know. And then really hope for, to me, I think I dare to venture to say that by mid of next year, as long as a new virus doesn't appear, we should be starting to tour and travel, go overseas and play again. Yeah. So that's why I'm telling myself anyway. So then if it comes earlier, better, right?
Yeah.
People talking about, I think I got a booking for, you know, to fly to play in Europe in August. I'm going, I don't know. I hope it happens, but I don't know, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we want to travel, but at the same time, we don't know, you know. There's a lot of uncertainties right now. And so while you're here, you know, what are all the new projects that you're...
Well, besides the Lion City Youth Jazz Festival, which is next week, in a month, in early June, we have this thing called Jazz It Up at the Jazz Association Singapore, which is really a concert of Chinese evergreen songs given a jazz treatment. We did it once already with Joanna Dong, Jasmine Chen, who sang on Crazy Rich Asians, as well as Melissa Tam sang on that first show. So on the second show, we have Joanna coming back, and she'll be sort of co-hosting it with me. Obviously, I will be doing the Chinese parts, and then and then we have a singer by the name of, everyone knows Kawei, so Takeaway will be on that, and also Marcus Lee, a young pop singer who is very very nice the way we arrived at the repertoire for him for the show, and he's so into it, and I really appreciated his enthusiasm and willing to work on making his particular segment of the show sound. I think it's going to be quite a special segment. And then after that, I have this concert with Resound Collective, who I think is one of the best chamber orchestras in Singapore, dedicated to playing chamber orchestral music and not like a symphony orchestra where you tell 2/3 of the people to go home and then that's their chamber. So basically really loving chamber music. So they are playing a Ravel piece, and then all the rest are my new orchestral, nondescript, classical, jazz, what is it, you know, kind of music that I've written for the rest of the show. So, you know, that I hope to bring classical and jazz fans together. Yeah, that, and then another 3 big events for Jazz Association second half of the year. And for me, the solo, I'm going to probably do half a concert solo, half with a string quartet, and then my Christmas show at Esplanade on December 18th. I think that's enough.
Okay. Sounds like you're very, very, very busy, even though you're not touring.
Yeah.
But it's amazing, like, you know, you're just like this engine that keeps going and going and going. I read in one of your recent posts that you said you took a couple of days off.
Yeah.
And you felt guilty.
Yeah, I did. I was last weekend, you know. And then Professor Tomiko commented, it's because you're an alcoholic. It's because you're a workaholic. Same thing actually, because it's so addicted to my work, right? Yeah, but no, I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at I have to say that I was very sad when Chick Corea died, because he was 79 years old, and he is my biggest hero of the three kings of his generation, right? Herbie Hancock, Chick Corea, and Keith Jarrett. And why I consider him, although I love all three for their music, was that at age 79, that number one, his pianistic abilities were still at the top of his game. So he continued to stay on the ascent on all these three levels. And another thing is that he was continuing to compose, and then on the other thing is that his work ethic of just being very inclusive and being very nice. A friend of mine actually drove a buggy once when he arrived in Singapore, because he had a problem with had an operation, so he was supposed to have a wheelchair. And then my friend went up to him and said, "I'm working here. I can drive you." And he knew who Chick Corea was. And when he told Chick Corea that I'm also a drummer, I think you know him as George Choti, right? When he told Chick Corea I'm a drummer, he said, Choti, you must know that all of us musicians, no matter what level we're playing at, or whether we're amateur or whether we're professional, we are one family and we must always stick together. And so just basically someone like him, to have that kind of ethic, So he's my big inspiration. And, I consider myself to be, although I got to go and fix my eyes and I got to go fix my knees very soon, that he's my hero. I mean, I thank you for saying that, I'm still growing and still, I tell myself, you're still continuing to be on your personal ascent of your personal mountain. And I hope that I just keep doing that until I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I feel like every time if you ever mention, like, I'm already at this age, I feel like this is where you've reached that point where you can't stop.
Yeah.
And I feel like you want to do more.
Yeah.
So when I read that post, I'm like, wow, it's like, how has this gentleman been a professional for 45 years and is still working non-stop and so hard, and feels guilty for taking a few days off?
Yeah, well, I think that the moment is not fun anymore. I won't want to do it anymore. I mean, I also posted recently that even when you're feeling inspired and you're feeling the mood, you should create. And but the mark of a true artist is that even when you're not in the mood and you're feeling tired and you're feeling dejected or whatever it is, if you have work to do, just go do it. Because every artist, if you keep doing that, you'll actually have a wonderful output. And you never know, you actually can actually create. Like sometimes you may create things that are better in that horrible mood you were in than you would when everything's going gangbusters for you. So I think that's something that I didn't always have this attitude, but now I do. Last time I said, I want to write music, I must go to the beach, I must look at the sea, and then the sea will inspire me. Then I go, and then after that, after a few pina coladas, I don't feel like writing anymore. Like after you just do it, lah. I mean, all the other props and the background, fine, lah. I mean, if you can have it, great. If you can't, just do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've never had that time where we sat down at a table with paper and pen and go, I'm going to write a song. It's usually when we're on the streets waiting for the red light, the green light, sorry, or like having a shower. You never have a pen and paper with you.
Yeah.
So when
you never know when it hits, right?
Yes, correct. So,
but Ben, it's very important, I think, to share one more thing. Is that the ability to completely quieten your mind is very, very important. Because I believe that being able to be still, I think the mark of a successful life is being able to balance motion with stillness. And most of us don't know how to live life without stillness. I mean, we can't, right? I mean, practice piano, so the WhatsApp goes on. Next thing you know, half an hour you're on a WhatsApp, and then, I was actually practicing. I mean, so I've learned to switch off my phone when I have to practice as much as I can. And I always believe that the voice of inspiration is silence. So actually, if you really want to be inspired, and the other thing is you're going to make an appointment with inspiration. So very often, if you just go and say, okay, I'm going to just spend this hour in my room and I'll doodle and I wait. And very often, if you actually put that time and make an appointment with yourself to compose, that inspiration will then walk in the door. Maybe the inspiration will walk in half an hour later, but sometimes the whole 1 hour inspiration doesn't walk in. Never mind, you just keep on informing the universe that I'm going to sit down here and I'm going to spend this time. After a while, you'll find that inspiration will actually show up more often. And I think that's an important tip for musicians, especially people who want to compose, to not just completely shroud any chance of connecting with inspiration by never having a quiet moment, or never having stillness, or never having complete quietude for extended periods of time. So some people, I would say, meditation practice can be good. Some whatever way it helps you to completely, be still and be quiet. That's a I think that's an important thing for musicians, young or old, to try and practice.
And I think just being comfortable with being by yourself for that period of time, without the phone, without any distractions, and just play, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether you're going to write something or not.
Yeah.
It's I think all of us have a lot more time to practice these days, for sure. I mean, I think I remember one of the posts you said, like, you rehearse for the rehearsal, but not at rehearsal.
Yeah. Practice to the rehearsal,
Yeah.
not practice at the rehearsal.
That's very true though, because like when people show up for the rehearsal, they're like, "Oh, I haven't learned the song yet." No, you don't learn the song here. You learn it at home. So I've had a few experiences with bands over the years that do that, and you're like, how long are we going to be here for? Wait, I listen. I mean, managing a band is not easy.
But your band's been around for a long time, right? Unexpected, right? How long now?
This is our 19th year.
Wow, amazing.
I started with 3-piece. And now there's 5, sometimes 6. So
that's great.
I think
there's good longevity. Keep going. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's also been quite a journey as well. I think I totally agree with you that it takes years of experience to really sit down and think about what is your work. Because I think at least the first 12 years it was a job in a way. But of course, people, when they see us on stage, like, "Oh, you're so lucky. You're working. Your work is your passion and all that." So it's still a job. We still.
There are the mundane parts, so the audience member talking at the top of his voice when you're singing a ballad is when your work suddenly becomes a job.
But I think I only appreciated that much later as well. In my years of gigging, like I would be very uncomfortable if nobody was talking. Like I think the first time we ever played a show that wasn't in a bar, it's so used to playing in a bar and everyone's talking, and then the first show we did at Esplanade and then no one's talking. I was like, and then I got really nervous. I'm not comfortable with this. It's really too silent. It was very interesting to see that juxtaposition as well. So over the years, I'm like, someone is talking, but whether or not, but they're still here. And they want to be here. If they didn't want to be here, they wouldn't be here. They would, let's go somewhere without this loud band. So I appreciate anyone and everyone who comes to the show.
Absolutely. I mean, for us as jazz musicians, of course, talking is, for example, you go to any jazz club in the US, there will be a tank card that says, please keep your conversations to a minimum and at the very low level. Some will actually say, if you feel like having a conversation, please go somewhere else. But in Singapore, I don't think we are ready for that level of jazz club listening. So I just tolerate as long as it's not dominant, people, there's a murmur, a bit of a conversation. What are you gonna do?
I mean, it's also part of like the whole live situation as well. So in a bar situation, or it's different. When you're playing, for example, in a concert hall. Compared to.
That's why the other day, a friend of mine, talked about wanting to do a jazz location when things open up. So I said, okay, you want to have a jazz club or you want to have a jazz lounge? Because if you have a jazz club, I don't think we have the audience will come, and it's really a jazz club. It's nothing more than a concert recital hall that happens to have F&B. But the jazz lounge, people come, they hang, they're going to chit chat, they listen to the music and all that. So I said, I don't think Singapore's ready for a real jazz club. So, you know, maybe one day. I mean, having said that, I'm very grateful that a lot of times when I perform, people do give me that kind of quietude and silence when I play. But when it does happen that people are a little noisy, I stop. I used to be really. You cannot go and ask Tama. I used to be.
You're very naughty on stage.
I used to be very. I used to be not only on stage. I used to go up and tell people to either keep quiet or leave and stuff like that. You know, I mean, back when I was younger, there's a chapter in my book about that where I actually told a whole group of people, you cannot just sit in front of the stage and have someone like Cassandra Wilson, who was not famous at the time, singing with me, and then you just don't give attention. So either you keep quiet or you leave. So then, like I said, I was very, very arrogant in my younger years, right? And then they said, "Oh, you can't talk to us like that. We are customers." I said, "No, not really. I paid for all your food and drinks, so actually you're my guests. And if you prefer to hang around, and you're more than welcome to finish the champagne and all the food that you've ordered, that I've paid for you, or you have to leave because I really cannot have you sitting down here making a lot of noise." And they actually stayed and they ordered some more food and drinks, and they actually kept quiet the whole of the second set.
Wow. Well done.
But I don't do that anymore. I really have a much more live and let live attitude. Just like accept the environment and where you are. You've agreed to play in a club that's a little noisy for a jazz musician anyway. I mean, for y'all, pop music, I play pop music sometimes, and noisy then noisy lah.
Yeah.
Quiet then quiet. It's the same thing actually. It should be the way for us when we play at different kinds of venues.
So like I remember one time, a long time ago, when we used to communicate with each other on Facebook, and I think you offered me a chance, and I have not taken it up yet. You said that one day if I wanted to say, "Hey Jeremy, let's write a song together," you know, and I hope I still have that ticket.
Sure, of course, yes, and why not? Yeah, and just let me know what you. I mean, for me, it's I do write pop songs, and I have had my pop songs sung by pop artists in China and Taiwan, lyrics by other people, Chinese lyrics. But I have a pop song coming that I'm working on. That's going to be a single that I got, which sounds like a Chicago kind of song.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wish and I look forward to being able to work with you one day.
Yes.
But I've enjoyed our friendship over the years and going to your shows.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for this book. I'm going to read it.
Great.
And I'm sure I'll find some stories that I've already read and commented on at the same time.
Yeah.
So check it out, guys. Late Thoughts of a Jazz Musician.
Thank you.
Thank you.